The self-sabotage comes in because they have beliefs about what it means to be that they haven't resolved. And anytime they go above it, they make decisions to collapse it. So for example, some people have beliefs that are unconscious about rich people. And they have a hard time saying, I want to be rich, because they've been told their whole lives that rich people are bad.
Have you ever thought about how much your perceptions of wealth affect your ability to create wealth? That if you have a perception of wealth and rich people that is negative, you are most certainly not going to become wealthy and rich. But if you have a perception of wealth and riches that is positive, and you actually believe that you deserve to be that, could that make a difference? There was an interview between Ryan Daniel Moran and Dan Martell about this very topic. And I want to play this interview and I'm going to talk through it because there's so much gold. Like there's so many golden nuggets in this. And we're going to dive in and you're going to find that these two guys have something to say about your and my ability to make the kind of money we want to make. And it has a lot to do with what we believe we deserve. So let's dive in.
I wanted to ask you something about something you said in a recent video that you posted. You said that you will never make more money than you think that you deserve. And even if you do accidentally, you will sabotage it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this either comes from personal experience or observation.
All of the above.
So I was hoping you could clarify that.
All right. So you'll never make more money than you think you deserve. And even if you do, you'll do what you can to sabotage it if you make that much money. I think this is incredibly insightful. When I first got into online business, moving from a job where I was making about $60,000 a year, so that's about $5,000 a month, I had to break past the thought that that's all I deserved. That if I made more than that, there would need to be some kind of market correction on my salary. That if I made more than $5,000 a month in my business, that I was somehow over what my limit really was. And fortunately, my business blew past that and I made more and I began to believe that I deserved more. But it really, really makes sense. Like, I can see where if I really thought that 60,000 or 100,000 was my limit, I can totally see where it would be true that I would self-sabotage and come back down to that number. It just makes total sense.
One of the biggest thieves of wealth is self-sabotage. So most people, they think, oh, it's the market. You know, a guy said it. I love the way he said it. He said, me being rich doesn't make you poor. And
me being rich doesn't make you poor. I think this is something that is completely missed in every comment section of every YouTube or TikTok video that I've ever seen, especially TikTok, where it's this idea. It's very anti-capitalism. It's very anti-free market. And it's basically, if you are making money, it has to be at the expense of me or at the expense of the people who are working for you or whatever. And there's not really a respect for the fact that wealth is created by value, that you have created value in the marketplace and you are only going to be compensated in relation to the value that you create. You will not be compensated more and you should not be compensated less. And if you are compensated less than the actual value that you create, then you have to up your value. You have to increase your value to get to where you are putting enough value into the marketplace and you're making more. So for example, when I was working a job, the value that I created was about $60,000 a year. That's it. And I can be mad about that. And at times I was, but that was the value that I brought to the organization. So that's the value that they paid me. To make myself more valuable, I had to create my own business where I could serve more people at a deeper level and create a bigger income for myself because it was more in proportion to the value that I was creating. So now I went from making $5,000 a month to $25,000 a month. What's the difference? The difference is I'm creating 5 times the value that I used to create.
Donald selling cheeseburger doesn't make you fat. Okay. There's 100% accountability to your circumstance. It has to be received. There's a perspective there. And what happens with self-sabotage as a concept is people have an internal thermostat of who they are, their identity, their level of wealth, right? We see it in our weight. People, I always tell them, if you went, they're like, it's not about the money. Okay.
I do want to mention something that he talked about weight. I think there is definitely a connection here between the amount of money that you think you deserve and how you will pull down to that amount or push up to that amount. Okay. So let's say that let's say it's 150,000. That's all you think you should make. You shouldn't make any more, shouldn't make any less. If you make less than 150, you're going to get back to 150. If you make more than 150, you're going to go back down to 150. That's the number. In the same way, he mentions weight. And I think there's a lot to this that very often, I know as someone who has gone up in weight and down in weight, that it is so easy to not realize that I'm adjusting, my body is adjusting to the weight that I think it should be, or that it thinks it should be, or that if I make progress with my weight, I will sabotage by binge eating for a time because I don't think I deserve to be fit. There's a lot of psychology there, and it's very, very interesting. Now, where I cut him off is he's getting into something that I think is really, really insightful to hear. Let's check it out.
Okay. How much money you got in your bank account, or how much you get in your savings? Imagine you open up your bank account tomorrow and half of it is there. Do you change the way you show up? Well, yeah. Then it's about the money.
Okay. So he says, people who say, and this is a huge, this is something that I will beat this drum until the day I perish. People will say it's not about the money. And what he says is, okay, how much is in your bank account right now? If tomorrow half of it was gone, would you change the way you show up? In other words, if half of all your money was gone tomorrow, you would probably do what you had to do to increase it back to where it was. Okay, so now we've established that at some level it is about the money. To say it's not about the money would be a lie, because if half of your money went away, you would work to replace it.
So you have an identity, what you think you should have as savings, what you should be paid, and you'll never receive a penny more than you think you deserve. Because if it was half, you would fight for more.
Yeah.
So that's the identity part.
Okay, so he's splitting this into two things. One is the identity that you associate with the amount of money that you are entitled to, the amount of money that you deserve. And if it were less, you would work to make more. Like, you would do what you had to do to make more money to get it back to the point where the thing that you deserve. And because your identity is attached to that is an incredible thing. What that means is that if you can adjust that up, you will increase your income. So for example, going back to the person who says 150,000 a year is what I deserve. If that person were to double that and say, no, I deserve 300,000 a year, then what they're going to do, if they're only making 150, is they're going to adjust their value up so that 150 increases to 300. It might take some time, but that's what's going to happen because they see it as a deficit. The opposite is true. If you're making 150, but you think you only deserve 75, you will adjust down until you get back to 75. It's about your identity as much as it's about anything else.
The self-sabotage comes in. This is so fun because they have beliefs about what it means to be that they haven't resolved. And anytime they go above it, they make decisions to collapse it. So for example, some people have beliefs that are unconscious about rich people. And they have a hard time saying, I want to be rich, because they've been told their whole lives that rich people are bad.
Yes. This is the thing right now. There are so many people who could and should have successful businesses. And in my vein, it would be online businesses where they are creating all kinds of wealth for themselves, for their family. And yet, because somewhere inside their head, and this may be you think that a certain amount of money would make you a bad person. And so you will not pursue creating the kind of value that you really should create because you don't want to be this type of bad person that you've imagined in your mind that rich people are. That is a massive, massive stumbling block for a lot of people right now.
But yet they're an entrepreneur and they're trying to be successful. I can't tell you the amount of people that I've seen, they reach out to me that might make 5-6 million top line that don't even pay themselves a salary. I know why, because they don't believe they're worth it. They have a business that it's there, but they have never taken a salary because they don't think it's worth it.
You think it's that? You don't think it's that they're afraid the business is going to go away anytime tomorrow? Because I see that a lot where people are just so afraid. The business has grown faster than their expectations, or it's grown bigger than what they thought that they could do. And so there is this belief that at any time the rug is going to be pulled out from under.
That is called self-sabotage.
Okay. So same thing, different
Fear gives
manifestation.
bad advice.
So
Fear gives bad advice. Like, this is me. I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday where I was looking at kind of the result of my business and what it's making each month, around $25,000. And I was saying, what if this is a fluke? Like, what if I got lucky? What if I don't really deserve any of this? And this is just kind of like a fluke that I've been lucky for it to happen, and it's all going to go away tomorrow because I don't really have the skill or the talent and haven't created the value to deserve this result. And if I let myself be in that space for too long or any length of time at all, what happens is I start to allow fear to creep in, and I start doing things just for the money and just because I know they're going to work, just because I know they're going to produce a result, because I am trying to protect against losing it all. And that's bad advice. That actually doesn't create growth. That's a scarcity mindset that really just leads to more scarcity. It leads to more of a sense of, I don't deserve this, so I'm going to sabotage my way back down to what I think I deserve.
So my experience was a little bit different. I had my big windfall at 29, and I was richer than I expected to be. And so I started investing into people that I thought were smarter than me. And turns out they weren't. And that was where a lot of my money went.
I call that outsourcing your confidence. Just saying.
It's a good term. But I experienced the same thing where it was, I made more than my expectations, and then my net worth came back to my level of expectations. And now I get to do the work. Right. So now I get to do the actual work of both changing the expectations of myself and also changing my financial circumstances. I'm curious how you would coach somebody through that process of changing the level of deservability that they would expect of themselves.
I'm so glad he asked this question, because I think a lot of people get very frustrated when they hear a statement like the one he made. You'll never make more than you think you deserve. And if you do, you'll work to lower yourself back down to what you think you deserve. For a lot of people, they hear people like this, who they perceive to be like out of touch gurus. I'm not saying he is. I love him, but I'm just saying some people have this perception. And they go, well, that's easy for you to say. It sounds like a bunch of woo-woo. Sounds like a bunch of like mindset, manifestation garbage. It's not real life. In the real world, I get paid a certain amount and it doesn't matter what I do. I'm never going to make more than that. First of all, if that's your mindset, it just is true. And that's what people fail to see. If that's your mindset, then you will not make more than that. So there has to be a change of mind. There has to be something different that you're thinking and that you're doing. So I love that he asked this question, because he's going to explain how this works. Like, how does this get fixed?
There's a lot. That's a deep question. I would say, first off, I don't believe you can hit a target you can't see. So that's right off the bat. Most people won't give themselves permission to be clear about what they want to create. If you can't describe to me your future the same way you can describe your current reality, then you're not clear. So if I ask you to describe this room, you see it. If I say describe that place you want to be in 10 years, and you're like, better, that ain't it. So 100% clarity. Then once we have a clarity, then we just have 100% belief. But the key for 100% belief is understanding you do not and will not understand how to get there today. That's a hard one, Ryan. People don't want it. They're like, but I need to know. Those are the left brain people.
Until I know how,
nope,
I can't build it.
Dude, there is no how. Because I can tell you every win I've ever had, when I look at why I won, wasn't the way I thought I would win.
I agree with the last thing that he said. I have had a lot of ways that I thought this would work, when I first went into online business, my thought was, I'm going to try all of it. I'm going to experiment with everything. And my approach was, I'm going to throw spaghetti against the wall. I'm going to see what sticks. What sticks, I'll double and triple it down on it. And what doesn't, I will ignore it and walk away from it. And over time, that worked. Like, that actually did what it was supposed to do. It built me a multiple six-figure online business. But the how isn't exactly something that I would have predicted. So I think that's interesting. I think you can get shortcuts on the how, though. For example, I think that when people go ahead of you and experiment and explore options and then come back and say, here's how I did it, here's how. For example, I mean, like his book that's sitting right in front of him, Buy Back Your Time, it's a book about how to buy back your time. I've read it. It's amazing. It's basically like, here's the formula for outsourcing everything in your business that you don't want to do or shouldn't do. The other guy, Ryan Daniel Moran, he's got a book called 12 Months to 1 Million. If you are going to start an e-commerce business, it is the book to get you started. It is the how. So there are formulas and there are hows of how to do things. It's just that you, in your direct situation, are always going to chart your own path. You're going to take the best of what everyone has already done that's gone ahead of you, and you're going to make your own way. But you have to get clarity on what that looks like. For me, once I was able to see like this business is going to work, then it was a question of, okay, what does it look like in terms of how much the business needs to make for me to feel like I'm successful? And then what do I personally need to make? And I'm on a quest to get to 100,000 a month. So right now I'm at 25,000 a month. So I'm 1/4 of the way to my $100,000 per month goal. And so I am clear on the path that I'm taking to get there. But to his point, the how will change over time. What it took me to get to 5,000 a month looks different than what it took me to get to 25,000 a month, which will look different than what it takes me to get to 100,000 a month. But there is a clear path for me to get there. And by the way, the path that I took, I'd love to share with other people. And it might interest you to know the path that I took to get from where I was working a full-time job and a 9-to-5, hating my work, hating my life, dreaming of something different, to building an online business, teaching what I know. I started out serving pastors. I used to be a pastor. I started helping pastors preach with confidence and clarity over at an online business called Preaching Donkey. And I took everything that I learned from that and I put it into a system that I love to help other people with. I love to help people build businesses teaching what they know. And I've helped hundreds of people in all kinds of different niches do this. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can go to lanesebring.com/super simple to pick up my free super simple guide to your first $500 online. This will show you just step by step exactly what I did, like how I did it. And then you can learn and adjust and make your own way from there. But again, lanesebring.com/super simple.
So it's not the how. The exercise is the belief, and just hold that, visualize that, stay with that space, be in that energy. Your frequency is what you will frequently see. If you cannot get in tune with how that'll feel, because that's the cool part. It's not actually about the shit or the money. It's about how you're going to feel.
That's right.
So now we talk about the feeling. In that feeling, then we say 100% of the time. So to the degree that we can have 100% clarity, 100% belief, 100% of the time. 100% of the time is a big thing. It's nutrition. Dude, I have sugar. I see the self-doubt creep in. It's weird. It's like it comes.
Yeah, this is so good. So 100% clarity, where you're going, 100% belief, you are convinced you're going to get there, and then 100% of the time, consistency across the board. He's going to talk about physically, spiritually, emotionally, work-wise, everything has to be in line. This is why not everybody has what they want, because some people don't even realize that they don't really want it. They don't want it enough to have clarity around it. They don't want it enough to truly believe it. I wanted to show you this video because just this section, like if you were to master the concepts in this section, it could change everything about your life and your business. So I wanted to share it with you. If you're into this kind of content, about how to grow both personally and in your online business. Be sure to subscribe for more and go to lanesebring.com/supersimple to pick up my free guide, and I'll see you in the next video.